So you just got your ViewSonic EDLA panel and you know how to set it up for the first time. You're gonna see this screen when you turn it on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna choose Start to begin the setup process. Now you'll notice that it wants you to connect to the internet on the second step. I actually recommend just setting it up offline. It makes this initial process much faster. If you wanna connect, you can. It just checks for updates and we can always connect it to the internet later. So we're gonna choose Setup Offline. You'll get this warning. We're just gonna say Continue. You can ignore the date and time. That'll update when we get it on the internet. And then on this screen, we're just gonna click More and then Accept. And again, we can change those again later. Now you'll notice at this point, it's gonna want you to enter a PIN code. The PIN code is there to protect the owner account, which we always recommend. I'm gonna enter 1234 and enter my PIN code. As a side note, you can use other kinds of passcodes if you want to. The PIN code can also be longer than 4. I'm just choosing 4, so it's easy for me to remember. We're gonna choose Next or select Next down here, and then you'll be asked to verify the PIN code by entering it one more time. Now on this next screen, what you're gonna see here is what's called Manager Permission. This is very important. If you're using My Viewboard Manager, we need to make sure that this is enabled. It's enabled by default, just don't unselect it, and we can choose Next right here. You'll also notice that you have a couple options for how the panel boots. Because we're using EDLA, we want this to run on normal mode. However, if we wanted to disconnect some of the casting apps, we could put it in secure mode. We're just gonna leave it here. And then this step is very important. So you have to decide how you want to use your viewboard at this point. If you're using your viewboard and you got your viewboard because you want to use things like Google Play, Google Drive, and install apps and have multiple users on the panel, it's important that you don't enable this. That's because it's going to let us use the Google accounts and run multiple profiles. However, if we want to use the panel in kind of a non-app mode or a simplified mode where you have your casting, you still have Manager, you can use the My Viewboard Whiteboard software and Google Chrome, but you're trying not to tie Google accounts to it or manage the Play Store, then you do want to enable what we call the Viewboard Launcher. For this setup, we're going to not enable it, and I'm going to make sure that I accept the terms, and then we're going to click Finish. What this is gonna do is it's going to take you into the owner account, and you'll notice it's switching here to the guest account. That way it secures the owner account immediately. And so once we get into the owner account, essentially the device is ready. And so what this is gonna let us do is we can add additional users. So if I swipe down from the middle, you'll notice that that pulls open my settings. You'll see here that I'm in guest mode. If I exit guest mode, it's gonna switch. Now it's going back to the owner. This is the lock screen. So if I swipe up, notice that it wants the PIN code to get into the owner account. If I come over here to the drop down, see how I can add a user or I can switch back into guest mode. This is very important because as I mentioned earlier, we are in that multiple user experience, right? Where we can use our Google account and the Google Play Store. So if I've completed all those steps, I can basically get the panel on the internet and leave it how it is. And then the next person who walks up can click Add User. And then that's going to get them into so that they can add their own account. And we have a separate video on how to add a user. But for now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the owner account. We are not gonna add a user. We're gonna stay in the owner account. We're gonna enter the passcode. And the reason why is because after you get the panel set up, the last step you need to do is you just need to go in, make sure you first connect your panel to Wi-Fi or to the internet. Once you're connected to the network you want, you can go back to the home screen, swipe up from the middle, that'll get you all of your apps, and you'll notice that you have the Manager app. This is very important. When you enroll Manager on EDLA, you need to be in the owner profile. Make sure you allow these permissions. You then can go in and enter the PIN code to enroll in Manager. And once you do that, you can shut off the panel and it's ready for whoever needs to use it to come in and choose that add user option. So quick review of all the steps. You go through the initial setup, don't connect it to the internet, it makes it faster. Make sure the manager permissions are enabled, and also make sure you choose to enable the ViewSonic experience if you want that simplified mode, or don't enable the ViewSonic experience if you want to have multiple users and use Google Apps. Once you've done that, it'll switch to the guest account, switch back over to the owner account, and make sure that you enroll it in Manager, get it online, and then enroll it into Manager, and then you can shut it off and it's ready for you to use. If you are someone who wants to use the panel in that simplified mode, be sure to check out our other video on how to set up that simplified mode, and we'll go over what that looks like for you.